You're being influenced every day, whether you realize it or not. From the way products are placed in a store, to how a question is asked, to subtle body language from a stranger, you're constantly being nudged. In this video, we'll explore the most effective psychological tricks used to shape behavior, shift opinions, and manipulate thoughts. These are not just theories. They are proven methods used by marketers, leaders, politicians, and sometimes even your closest friends. Let's dive in. 1. The illusion of choice. You often feel like you have full control over your decisions. But what if I told you that most of your choices are already influenced before you even know they exist? This is called the illusion of choice. A famous example is the decoy effect, where you are presented with 3 options, and the middle one is purposely made to look like the best deal, even if it isn't. It nudges you to pick the option they want you to choose. 2. Priming. Priming is a subconscious influence where exposure to one thing affects your response to another. If I show you the word yellow and then ask you to name a fruit, you're more likely to say banana. Advertisers use this all the time. Colors, music, scents, all subtly influence your mood and perception without you noticing. 3. The foot in the door technique. This is a compliance trick where someone asks for a small favor first, something almost impossible to say no to. Then they follow it with a larger request. Studies show people are far more likely to agree to the larger ask after complying with the small one. Why? Because we want to appear consistent. 4. The scarcity effect. Have you ever noticed how products that say only 2 left or limited time offer seem more appealing? That's not coincidence. Scarcity creates urgency. The fear of missing out, FOMO, triggers an emotional reaction that overrides logical thinking. You want it simply because you might not be able to have it. 5. Framing. How something is presented dramatically changes how it's perceived. Imagine being told a drug has a 90% survival rate versus a 10% death rate. Same stats, completely different feelings. Politicians, media, and marketers use framing constantly to influence how you feel about facts. 6. Social proof. You walk into a restaurant that's empty versus one with a long line. Which one seems better? Social proof is the idea that people assume the actions of others reflect the correct behavior. Online reviews, follow accounts, testimonial videos, all build trust, even if you don't know the source personally. 7. The halo effect. If someone looks attractive or speaks confidently, we often assume they're smarter or more trustworthy, even if we have no real evidence. This bias can be incredibly powerful. It's why job interviews, politics, and sales presentations often reward the charismatic over the qualified. 8. Repetition and the mere exposure effect. The more often you're exposed to something, the more you tend to like it. It's why you start enjoying a song after hearing it multiple times, even if you didn't like it at first. This is one of the oldest tricks in advertising. Repeat the brand name or message often enough, and it sticks. 9. Anchoring bias. Anchoring happens when you rely too heavily on the first piece of information you receive. If I say this shirt was $200 but now it's $99, it feels like a deal, even if the shirt is only worth $30. Anchoring distorts your sense of value. And it's everywhere in pricing strategies. The power of silence. Sometimes, silence can be more persuasive than speech. In negotiation, after making an offer, silence creates discomfort. The other person feels pressure to fill it, often by compromising. This subtle trick can shift the dynamic in your favor without saying a word. 11th, mirror and match. People like people who are like them. Subtly mirroring someone's body language, tone, or speech patterns builds unconscious rapport. It's a trick often used by salespeople, therapists, and even con artists. You feel connected even if you can't explain why. 12. The Zeigarnik effect. We remember unfinished tasks better than completed ones. That's why cliffhangers in shows or unfinished sentences in ads make you want more. Your brain hates open loops, and smart marketers use that to keep you engaged. 13. Emotional anchoring. Attaching an emotion to a product or idea makes it more powerful. Political ads that show fear. Commercials that trigger nostalgia. These aren't random, they anchor emotions to choices. And emotions often override logic. 14. Confirmation. Bias. You believe you're open-minded. But most of the time, you're looking for information that confirms what you already believe. This bias is exploited by algorithms, influencers, and even fake news. Once you see something that fits your worldview, your brain clings to it. 15. Cognitive dissonance. When your actions don't align with your beliefs, you feel discomfort. And your brain tries to resolve that by changing your beliefs. This is why people double down on decisions they regret. It's easier to justify than to admit a mistake. 16. Reciprocity. If someone does something nice for you, you feel obligated to return the favor. It's deeply wired in human psychology. Businesses use this by offering free samples, free trials, or surprise bonuses because they know you'll likely buy something back. 17. Subliminal messaging. Although controversial, subliminal cues, images, sounds, or words flashed quickly can influence behavior subtly. While not as powerful as once believed, even slight exposure to suggestive cues can nudge choices in specific directions. 18. Choice overload. Paradoxically, having too many choices can lead to paralysis. You walk into a store with 30 types of jam. You're less likely to buy than if there were just 5. Marketers curate options to guide your decision, not overwhelm you. 19. The spotlight effect. You think people notice you more than they actually do. This bias makes you behave as if you're being watched or judged, even when you're not. Understanding this can help reduce social anxiety and explain why influencers act like the world is watching. 20. Learned helplessness. When people experience repeated failure or lack of control, they stop trying, even when the situation changes. This is used in toxic relationships, authoritarian systems, and manipulative environments to keep people passive. Conclusion. Now you know. Your mind is being influenced constantly, and most of the time, you don't even realize it. But awareness is power. When you recognize the patterns, you can defend against them, or use them ethically to persuade, inspire, and lead. If you found this valuable, subscribe and check out our playlist. Mind manipulation tricks. And remember, the most dangerous trick is the one you don't know is being used.